Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome to our True Self Talk. That is our monthly energy session. And in this talk, we reflect on this session. Myself and 4 trained energy healers facilitated this session with me. Yeah, Annetta, Julian, Cindy, and Jared. Thank you so much.
Hey, Jona.
Hi, Cheryl. Yes,
I just want to tell you a bunch of us were on a different site that linked us somewhere else. So if you wait a second, we're all coming over.
I just saw that. That's why I posted this. Did you see my post there? Yeah, I just saw that. It must have been an old link somewhere in the instructions. So I apologize for that. Yes, it's always here in our Skype live daily sacred self thread where we do the online meditations and the energy talks. Yeah, the same location. The only other location that we have here on Skype is where we do the Course in Miracles study group. So if you're hearing this now for the first time, feel free to pop in. The links are on my website and in my email newsletter. Yeah, this True Self session was quite interesting, very complex, and I'm going to try to help you guys with visualizations a little bit so that it becomes a little easier for you to tap into your own perceptions and feelings. Yeah, there's a reason why this energy session is called You Connect with Your True Self. Yeah, this is about you connecting with your inner self, and right there we saw a bunch of things in the way right now, which is kind of to expect it. And if you have watched the energy forecast, if you've written the articles, if you read the articles that I wrote for this month, I'm already giving a few pointers there. So let's start with the physical sensations and then move into the deeper meaning and perhaps also the questions or the impulses, the things that you subjectively perceived. Yeah, please don't be shy and ask questions. Yes, I see your hand. Cheryl, did you want to ask a question? Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's wonderful. All right, so let's have a look at the terminology here that we're using. Okay, so on your screen you should now see a graphic, what we call the chakra system. Those are these energy centers in us, these organs, these immaterial organs in us that help us to understand ourselves in spiritual terms. Yeah, so this is something that has been around for many thousand years, and kind of full esoteric, occult, and spiritual teachings kind of refer to the chakras in the same way. Here at transCODES, we tend to call it first, second, third, etc. chakras simply because we want to take all the other associations with how it's supposed to feel like or how you're supposed to name it and so forth away. So we're trying to train ourselves to just really feel into these body regions. And we see here the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart chakra, the throat, the third eye, and the crown chakra as these physical representations of where our energies are being processed. And there is another graph that I have here for you where we look into the meaning of them, yeah, so what they represent, what basically the departments that they are responsible for. So if you look at this graph here, you should see it. You may not be able to read it. Don't worry about reading those right now, simply because you will receive the charts with the recording of this True Self Talk, and it's also something that you can find on my website and so forth. So it's not something that I want you guys to tune in right now, as in like, you know, the details of all this is what make you too mental about this. So here I would like to ask you guys, when you go into meditation or energy session, as we call this, what's the difference between a meditation and energy session? The energy session is facilitated. We create a space, a room for this, in the etheric, and we basically flush it with a specific frequency. So in this case, with the Connect with Your True Self session, it's the inner connection with your true self, with your higher self ultimately. Yeah, and then we keep this room clear. We prevent you guys from, you know, interacting too much energetically, and just help you as a group and individually, you know, to go deeper into this connection process. Now, as we're doing this in this group format, I just want to mention real quick that there's a reason for this. Does anybody have an idea why it might be beneficial to do such an energy healing session as a group? What's the feeling or the picture that comes up in you when you think about it? Like a, you know, like maybe like a gym where you do, you know, a certain kind of exercise together, or like a meditation group like we do this here. What's different when we do this as a group? What do you guys think? Why does someone like me chooses to do this in a group format? I, of course, also offer private sessions. Yeah, those can be picked and chosen on my website. What do you think is the purpose?
Jona?
Yeah.
I think purpose is it feels stronger. I literally said to a friend, I was out for the evening and I came home early to do the meditation, and he was joking with me, like, because, you know, like I'm nonstop all the time. I say, honestly, this is something that's just great for my soul. And I feel like it's a group I feel safe with, growing in a way that, you know, I work out at a gym too, so I work out with that group
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, feel safe there, and it just feels the same way in a different way,
That's
in a
really,
soulful way.
it's really important. It's just, it's a feeling. It's motivating, isn't it? Think about it. I always recommend people to have training buddies for no matter what it is. Yeah, even if it's just somebody to talk to about your experiences. Yes, exactly, Cindy. Here, I'm looking at the chat. It's motivating and it's amplifying. It's amplifying. Yes, and Jared, you're right. This, we shouldn't shy away from doing those kind of quotes that you're making here. For where there are 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am here. Yeah, this has a really big spiritual meaning, even if you're not, like, say, a Christian believer or any kind of, have any kind of particular religious belief. Yeah. So the point is that when we are together, we're calling in something together. And the beauty of this session, I've mentioned this a few times already. I think I've been doing this for the 12th year now, every month, yeah, for free, for everybody. And what happens there is that we create this random group of people from all over the world, yeah, that are all tuning into their true self at the same time. Can you picture this? Yeah, obviously as energy healer, I personally think that this is the most important session a month, yeah, that I do. And I do many, many energy sessions, yeah, at least 3, 4, 5 a day, yeah, mostly with groups, but also with individuals. So yeah, we're forming a grid. We're forming a larger room. So when we all do this together and basically focus our attention to a specific task or a specific thought or feeling, what happens is that our energies begin to converge. Yeah, they begin to, make each other stronger. They become supportive. And now picture this. When we all focus on connecting with our true self, with our inner self, yeah, via our heart, okay, we are also supporting one another while we are beginning to feel the support from within ourselves. So this is really the high art of healing, guys, just so you know. So there is a reason why, things such as the Course in Miracles or 12-step groups or, many of these courses or programs that have been around for a long time, yeah, and even some of the religious courses, yeah, why they are best when done in a group. All right, so let's come back to our session here, and go into the physical sensations. Yeah, so we're going to go through these different layers of what makes us us. Yeah, of our bodies. Yeah, we have several bodies with different layers, different density layers. Yeah, the physical, the emotional, the mental, intellectual, yeah, then the spiritual, and then the consciousness, the energetic. All right, so let's go through them in a structured way, just so that it allows you to check in one more time as we're talking about it, even if you are not sharing. Yeah, anybody here sharing helps others to check in, yeah, to tune in, and then to name it, and then to move on. So on a physical level, where did you guys perceive the majority of sensations, if at all? What were some of the predominant physical sensations?
I was getting shivers down my spine.
All right. At what point of the session?
Sort of halfway through,
Okay.
around about there. But it was kind of like moving down from like back of my skull, like coming through from my head down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be a very good experience because it shows you that energies are moving and it shows you the direction that they're moving. And I'll say about this here in a few minutes. Let's hear a few more other sensations. Did anything come with that, like tingles or vibrations or heat sensations, Mandy?
Yeah, it was feeling quite cool, but then I realized I wasn't cold. It was tingling. It was that tingling kind of shivering, waving through my spine, but from the
Okay.
top down.
Okay.
I think it was from the top down. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Any other sensations? Co-facilitators, do you want to report about the sensations that we picked up on during the session?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
It's Sebastov. I didn't co-facilitate it, but my microphone didn't work, so I was talking to myself for a moment. But I can hear that you can hear me now. I had quite typical for me in many sessions, like a deep deep yawing that appeared this time at like at the very beginning of the session. And to me, it felt a little bit like a release of some sort of overlay. When later I could pick some notes about that, but it physically feels to me like the yawing sometimes kind of refers to different parts of the body, and this time it felt like from around my throat chakra, and more like on the masculine side, which also gave me some hints what was released. But that's kind of how it felt to me.
So right around here. Yeah, so when we talk about chakras, we're obviously not just limiting it to the actual physical area, but also sort of more the space here. Yeah, so in my graph here, you see this. It's sort of this. It's this space, and it can encompass the neck, yeah, and the shoulders, the throat. You can actually hear this in my voice. Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff, energy stuck in my throat right now. But you can also sometimes feel it in your sinuses, in your jaws, yeah, and here in this connection between your jaws and your ears and your teeth. Yeah, I'm taking your hearts as this might have been something that you have experienced as well.
Yeah, Jona, the sensation around the back of my neck and across the tops
still
of
feeling
my
it.
shoulder. Oh my God, it was just really strong and heavy and like pushing down. And there was a bit of jaw tension. For me, it was mostly the jaw tension was sort of on my right side, but then I just did feel this heaviness on the left side of the body, like pushing down, and the spine as well, as Mandy picked up on. We could feel that down the spine. Yeah. And around the top of the head, it felt like there was like a hat, or something.
Yes. Yeah,
really.
I felt that too. I called it like a clamp on my head.
Yeah.
Felt kind of like this, but it went all around.
All around, yeah. It's almost like a big bonnet, if you could imagine.
Yes, yeah. Some also experienced so the tight jaw may even sort of end up in like grinding teeth, yeah, or feeling throbbing in your teeth. Did anybody have this? Because we picked up on this. I mean, the session was a large session. There was over 80 people in the session. So here around this whole section, yeah, but all indicating some kind of tension, yeah. So when we have this like really sort of, holding on kind of feeling, okay, then our body often responds with tension. Yeah, and in energy sessions, as energies begin to move a little faster, a lot of that already occurs when you just read the invocation, because this is also an energy alignment. Yeah, it reminds you of something. It automatically, sort of tunes you more inward, and the more inward that you connect, the faster your energies start moving. And here Linda is commenting on that a large part of the beginning was really something like shaking things off. And yes, Cindy, oh, your mic is not working. Teeth throbbing. Also a constriction here in the sternum area. Yeah, fourth chakra. Fourth and fifth chakra, so the heart area. Yeah, so everything with lungs and upper middle respiratory system. It also always refers to the backside of you. Yeah, so this part here. So if you look at me from the side here, yeah, this entire part was affected in this energy session, and apparently had to shake things loose. Yeah, it was too tight. So how did this feel emotionally? Did anybody have specific kind of emotions come up or feelings? Julianne just mentioned sort of a heaviness. A heaviness is a feeling. Yeah, it's not a particular emotion, but it is a feeling, yeah, that something feels heavy as opposed to something feeling light or easy. Jealousy, okay, yeah, that's a very distinct emotion. And I can see that. Sebastian. What other kind of emotions came up for you? Anger and frustration, yes, thank you, because that was pretty much the predominant emotion, even if we were not fully aware of it or weren't really ready to face it. Sadness. Whereby sadness is something that needs, just like anger and frustration, need a lot of investigation. Yeah, many people, when they feel a little heavy, they interpret it as sadness. But there are so many different variations of sadness, such as, like a heaviness because of a loss or a grieving that we're going through, or a heaviness because we feel very deep. When I was younger and I couldn't really voice all these things right yet, I interpreted my heaviness, yeah, as something like a depression or something like a negative kind of feeling. I now realize that this is actually depth. So there's a depth in me when I go in there. It's not necessarily a negative emotion. I just want you guys to pay more attention to this. Not saying it's wrong, because the sadness was definitely there. The hopelessness was definitely there. The giving up sort of feeling, definitely there. Yes, so these emotions that are just floating around and that we pick up on, since we are these big antennas, yeah? And we don't even have to call ourselves energetically sensitives or empaths for that. We all are antennas, and these chakras that we have, these energy centers, yeah, that metabolize and regulate all these energies in form of, thought energies or emotional energies or physical energies or etheric or astral energies, they are affected by it. Yeah, so you are always also picking up on things that are coming in from the outside, because somebody's here. Yeah, Cindy's commenting on this being collective. Now, who of you knows their own emotions and thoughts and bodies so well that you are able to distinguish or discern whether it's your own or somebody else's, or something that is just sort of like a weather condition, like I report about in the forecasts and energy talks? Who of you can distinguish this? Who of you knows which is yours and which isn't? Okay, so your true self is involved in that learning process. So I called ourselves these big antennas, and part of the reason why it's hard for us to discern all these energies in form of physical, emotional, mental, thought energies and spiritual energies is because we haven't really refined these organs. Yeah, this is just like with emotional literacy, say, or even on a cognitive level with vocabulary. If we don't really know how to sense it, how to name it, yeah, it's very difficult for us to consciously feel it. So a big part of this Connect with Your True Self session and all energy sessions, at least here at transCODES, is to refine this system, this navigation system that we have inside of us. But it still needs to be, you know, I think I've called this, we still need to sharpen our tools a little bit. Yeah, and the way we do this is through practice. That's why I do this True Self session for free, so that you guys can come back and keep practicing that. The True Self is involved in this. So its function is to mediate. Yeah, so it's basically a higher vibratory part of you, yeah, that is able to communicate or to be in touch with your soul self, with your higher self at all times, but it's also able to communicate with you. I like to look at the true self as a translator, yeah, as a transceiver, yeah. The true self helps us to understand some of these bigger things, some of these greater perspectives, these you know, like things that we can pick up on but don't know what they are. Helps us to translate that, to make sense of that. Yeah, know thyself, to know thyself. All right, and so when this comes up for you, yeah, that you are feeling something but you have no clue what it is, the best tip that I can give you, especially here in context with the Connect with Your True Self energy session, is to ask your true self. Ask your true self. Yes, Cheryl, and you're commenting here that you must have done that because you said the feeling of self-acceptance came up. That's spot on. Self-acceptance. So let's collect your guys' experience here and then try to put this all together. Yeah? All your individual experiences and perceptions. On a thought level, on a cognitive level, on a mental level, what kind of thoughts came in for you? What kind of thought structures, or maybe what kind of self-talk came in?
Yona, I had this feeling of, well, a feeling that then I interpreted into thought was kind of a acceptance of those things that I don't understand, because I think there was a lot of release of like disenchantment.
That's a beautiful word, disenchantment. That fits very well what we perceived. But keep going.
Yeah, I mean that was really it. I mean it was just only thinking of it now to put the little pieces together. Some of it was that, yeah. Like
yes.
seeing things like, well, it wasn't me questioning why did things happen, sort of. It was like reviewing that things happened a certain way in my life and maybe just accepting things that I don't fully understand right now.
Yeah, so this is also coded into the invocation, yeah, where it says, you know, accepting everything the way it is. Yeah, not as in letting it happen to you or not doing anything about things that are bad for you, but as in, you know, really tuning into what is. And I tell you why this is relevant. Because when we don't, or when we are not willing, there's different parts in us, yeah. So one of the adversaries, if you will, of the hindering forces within ourselves, yeah, is our ego, yeah, the lower aspect of ourself. And you hear me talk about this a lot. We need our ego. It has a really important purpose. It's supposed to protect us from pain, from threats. Yeah, it's part of our survival instinct. It's a really important part of our psyche. It also helps us to adapt. It helps us to deal with change, to deal with, just basically with what is. So when we get this impulse to accept what is, all right, without, trying to interpret or trying to, it's the making sense in this cognitive way, jumping to conclusions, using, preoccupied beliefs or thought mental structures, to squeeze what is into something that we have already sort of pre-labeled, then we are restricting our ability to perceive reality, as opposed to reminding ourselves that before we can even, consciously choose how we want to handle something, how we want to deal with something, we need to first accept that whatever is there is there. And that's one of these key themes that were in this session. This was one of the first things that came up. That's why I was so happy that you've picked up on it. Yeah, all of you, because self-acceptance is part of that, and even the jealousy, Sebastian, because the problem with when we do not accept or don't want to accept something, let's say, all this pain and suffering that is in the world, or all these negative things that we are being bombarded with, then we are losing a part of our higher faculty, and that is to actually come up with creative solutions, to come up with ways that we perhaps haven't tried yet, or that we have been avoiding, or that we have been, hiding from. So this ability, to deal with, challenging situations, big emotions, and for many of us here as energetically sensitives, challenging energies, all right? This faculty that is provided to us via our true self is instrumental. And if we are, sort of fading out or trying to restrict the way we see reality, maybe because we are overwhelmed or because it's too much, it's too fearful, all right, then we are shutting down parts of our ability to deal and to come up with good choices, with healthy choices. So this is all linked, guys, and where this takes place is right here between our fourth and fifth chakra. And as an energy healer, I can tell you that this is something that we need to address, because the effect of that is a form of this apathy, this not really seeing that we have a choice. In this session, it was almost as strong as like fatalism, and believing, these are thought structures, believing, that everything is going down the drainer and it's too late and there's nothing that can be done.
Yeah, Jona, that came through really strong in part of it. It was a real feeling of the heaviness of it was pushing down, and it sort of felt like it was closing off any wider viewpoint or feeling. And it was a real, like, it was almost like looking into a black void of there's no future. To me, it felt like there's nothing we can contribute, and that closing off feeling was like
no future, was
looking down, like just looking downwards and just looking with our heads bent downwards, not being able to look up and see something,
or not
different.
seeing ourselves being able to do anything about it. And can anybody relate to this? Did anybody have aspects of this session, where you felt that, There was nothing you could do.
I could say, the aspect of that I picked up on really strongly was before, during the day today. And I've witnessed this before with myself, everything like would be given, I'm like lots of, I'm taking it as the session was, a lot of information was coming in. It was like very available there. And today was just a day of not even, what's the word? I'm not going to use the right word, but not hooking on to any of the meaning of it, but just kind of processing the energy through. And I can see with what you're saying, how it's kind of like, it's funny, I've had this craving for coffee. Like, I'm just going to have a coffee, put my nose in the air and pretend it's not happening kind of feeling, perhaps, as an option to deal with this kind of information coming in. And I could see that. Yeah, just lots of different surface level coping, just to go deep enough to allow it to process through and use tools that we have to kind of clear some of the stuff that's maybe not so useful or something like that, like lots of information.
Yeah, so lots of information, is something that if we cannot, fully discern yet, can just feel like overeating. Yeah. So for me, the chakras, the energy centers are kind of like, almost like digestive organs. We have to deal with all these energies that are around us. Yeah. And mind you, when I talk about energies, I'm not just talking about, physical or electromagnetic or, I'm not even talking about, like magical stuff. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the totality of what we are exposed to, which can include the physical, which can include the emotional energies, which can include thought processes that we are ingesting through, reading news, watching, those things on the internet and so forth. Yeah, those are all energies. Those are all energy codes that are coming in, and they need to be digested. And they have all of our different chakras have a different function in digesting them. And just so you know, I've prepared this here just so that I don't forget to talk about it. We also have more than just those physical chakras. We also have chakras that lie outside of our body. Yeah, and these are fundamentally the ones that we're working with when we're working with our true self. As a matter of fact, and this will be interesting for you to hear, Mandy, these etheric and astral body fields, yeah, those are also energetic fields, but they're still linked to us, yeah. So they sort of walk around with us, and they are pretty large when somebody works on their energy bodies and really tunes into these different layers of their energy field, which we train here at transCODES. Then your energy can reach, basically transcend space, and for some people also, that are highly trained, that are masters in this time. So we can actually overcome these physical barriers with our energy, but this requires training. However, the part that is maybe interesting for you, Mandy, since you described this tingling sensation from your spine down, okay, this is a very, very typical sensation that occurs when your, if you believe it or not, when your true self gets activated. The only thing that I would like you to do, and this is specifically for you here, Mandy, or anybody else who've had that kind of sensation, I want you to try to recreate this feeling. This is related to what many spiritual teachings call Kundalini movement. This is a movement, where all these chakras begin to align, and they open up. And I want you to actually reverse that flow. Okay, I want you to, feel this come in from below, and I want you to practice pulling it up. Okay.
Got you.
That's I happen to know that you're a yoga instructor, so you're familiar with those terms, and I just want you to practice that because ultimately there's nothing wrong with it going this way, but for you there is always a specific component needed. Yeah, and generally speaking, right now, how this looks like in the etheric is, that the movement is downward because it is a descension actually. So these etheric energies, Christ light, Christ consciousness is available for us in the etheric, and it comes in from up and goes down. The problem that we're all having right now is that through all the distractions and through all these overwhelming energies that we are not equipped to fully digest yet, we're not fully able to handle all of this yet. Yeah, that we're either getting pulled, too far down, or we get pulled too far up, or we get pulled too far to the right, too far to the left, or even too far forward or too far backwards. And these are things that, well, I teach them here at transCODES. I don't want to go too deep into them, but I want those of you who are feeling this sort of an upward pull, I want you to center that. I want you to counteract this and pull the energy down. And for those of you who feel, sort of this downward pull, I want you to, practice the counter movement, yeah? Practice is always practice the counter movement. This is almost like stretching in the physical, or when you do muscle training, you don't just want to, do one particular exercise over and over again. Yes, you want to have many repetitions, but you also want to strengthen the counter muscles, that are helping with, keeping all this in balance. So when when we have these energetic sensations, which fall more into the category of the consciousness a layer of yourself, similar to what you described here, Linda. You had this feeling that you had to shake things off, and that things had to flow off from you in the beginning. This is very strong in this session, the first, I want to say almost 40 minutes. So at 40 minutes, there was a shift, and that allowed us to, better digest everything. So these first 40 minutes of the session were really just like energetic grumbling, for our organs, So if you felt it a little heavy in the beginning, then that is because it is. And here is Janet, here comes that in what you said in the beginning, accepting, that things just are sometimes, and you don't need to know exactly why. Because if you get yourself pulled into the why, and you do not have a sharpened tool yet, you will be pulled into these preset, preoccupied, and often also pre-programmed, from the outside, interpretation programs. Okay, oh, this must mean, that I am sad. This must mean that, blah, blah, blah. And that's where, we often get led astray, because, this, the ability to perceive freely and purely comes through, well, I want to say almost elimination. You have to eliminate all the errors that you bring in through your lower self, through your ego. And that has to do with, on a physical level, anything that has to do with the survival fear. Anything that has to do with, reactivity, emotional reactivity. Anything that has to do with preformed beliefs, assumptions, and conclusions. Those are all lower aspects of yourself that are full of error. Yeah. Now, this doesn't mean that you're dumb or that you can't do it or that you haven't figured it out. It's just not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you need to include that and practice a certain level of neutrality with yourself and say, okay, right now in my body it feels like this. Right now my emotions feel like this. And right now what I'm hearing in my head or what I'm thinking or the conclusions that I'm coming to is this. And now pay attention. Guess which part of you is actually capable of observing this. That is your consciousness. And that is the one that the true self, yeah, sort of that it has that sort of name tag on it. Yeah. Yeah. So your true self is kind of like consciousness with a name tag. Okay. That communicates with you. And if you want to sharpen your tools, if you want to master this better, yeah, master your thinking, master your emoting, and mastering, to master your willing, yeah, making good choices, yeah, and then, the actions, the decisions, the daily stuff that comes out of that, then you need to connect with that part that can observe all of this, not with only your body. Oh, this is hurting and this is hurting. I can't do this and this is all bad and da, da, da. Or your emotions. Oh my God, and this is so bad and or your mind that says, oh, we're all screwed. The world is going to end. Everything is going down the drainer. Okay. So you need to recognize that it's okay to have all these sensations and these feelings and these perceptions and these thoughts. It's okay to have them. But don't buy into them without checking in with your true self. That's what I'm trying to say. So the notion, to accept more is exactly the right guidance. Accepting is not the same as sucking up. Accepting means, okay, I got a lot of emotions come up. Ooh, my body is really tense. Whoa, I got a lot of assumptions, a lot of opinions going on in my head right now. And when you go just one step further and ask, but how am I truly feeling? What is truly going on? Hey, true self, what say you? Yeah? How am I truly feeling? This is the part that we forget. We get so wrapped up, yeah, in our body-mind, yeah, which is the connection here of our, sensations, emotions, and thoughts through, via our nervous system and our ego. We get so wrapped up in that we forget that there are higher parts in us. Yeah, there are higher abilities, higher faculties in us. And all of these assumptions why something is or isn't, why there's so much suffering, why there's so much war, why there's so much darkness, all right, cannot be answered with your ego part, yeah, the part that links you into the body, the emotion, and the mind. Why? Because this is taking place on a much larger scale, on a scale that you simply don't know, at least not your intellect. So by accepting that you are feeling, overwhelmed, that, that there's so much that you can't really, come up with good solutions, yeah, you are stepping into neutrality and saying to yourself, all right, apparently I am, overwhelmed right now. So I need to go in deeper. Yeah, I need to go connect with myself more, with my true self, so that I can come, or so that I can have access to my higher abilities, yeah, the ones that are more conscious, yeah, not the ones that are linked to your your ego self, your inner child and your shadow self. If you allow yourself to be dominated by that, guys, you're going to get in trouble. I have said this on many occasions. You're going to get in trouble now because we have so much darkness around us, yeah, that your job now is to recognize that and to start working with it. So what's the opposite of accepting the things the way they are? The opposite of that is trying to avoid it, not looking, trying to hide, and not facing these fears, yeah, these sensations, and these limiting thought processes that are coming up in you. It is time for you to face them. And that is something that your true self will communicate to you exactly how Janet described it. It will say, you know what? Don't get distracted now. Yeah? Why? Don't get into the victimhood. Don't go into the jealousy. Don't go into, why is this and why, does God allow all this and, and why are people so mean and da da da. Don't get pulled into this. This is a wrong exit, guys. Go in like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm perceiving. It sucks. All right. It's overwhelming. Yeah, it makes me feel quite heavy. Yeah, ooh, I can even feel it in my body. Is this a state in which I can make good choices? That's a real question for you. When you are in that state of overwhelm, in that state of getting pulled into your physical stuff, or getting pulled into your emotions, or getting pulled into your opinions, are those good states to make decisions in? And nope. I'm sure we all have a lot of practice in that. Yeah, when we make decisions, yeah, when we make decisions in a low state, what do you think the outcome of those decisions, of those choices will be? Low. And you all are aware of this already, so the trick here, yeah, and I'm not trying to lecture you, that you need to, raise your vibration and stuff like that, because that's kind of like a non-binary, and it's much more complex than we all think it is. But it's about remembering that there is a higher choice, a higher ability, a higher vantage point. Perhaps even a supportive, a more loving, a more accepting, a more forgiving vantage point. And to seek that, yes. And the connection here with accepting that which is and self-acceptance, well, I hope that that is obvious, yeah? Because it always, it's a two-way street. When you have a hard time accepting reality, accepting what is on the outside, it is not possible for you to accept what's on the inside. If you have a hard time forgiving others, it is not possible for you to forgive yourself. If you have a hard time connecting with others, connecting with this world, you will have a hard time connecting with yourself.
It's like a sense of distrust, and that like it kind of got all this information about like the history of being caught up in emotion and how heavily people identify with emotion, because the, like they don't know, they're just like blinded to the fact that they're not living in emotion. They're so identified with their emotion that even if it's
And the
feeling
thoughts
like,
that are tied to it, the judgments,
yeah, they don't, then it switches to, if it's heavy, then somehow they switch to another maybe positive, quote unquote, emotion. However, it's still in emotion because they're not trusting the
Right.
state of acceptance.
So, yes, exactly. So this is also one of those New Age myths, to just think positive and kind of just sort of make it all go away, by positive feelings, okay? This doesn't work either, guys. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how you can make yourself enter into a higher state of consciousness. And that requires you to be willing, first and foremost, to deal with truth. Yeah, so accepting things the way they are is nothing but arriving in truth. To say, oh yeah, that's pretty dark right now. And it sucks. That's just truth. And then you can investigate, and I'm going to give you a few techniques here. Yeah. So before I let you go, I'm going to give you the steps and a very important technique, how you can practice this. And maybe even apply this then next month, for the next month Connect with Your True Self session, or any other meditation or energy session that you're a part of. But you have to first arrive in truth. Without that, you cannot trust that your perception is even seeing what is. Okay? So the first step to arriving in truth is always to realizing that there is more than you can understand, yes. And there are a lot of things that you cannot see, yes. And there are a lot of things that you don't understand in the sense of about yourself, Yes. Admit, this is a form of admitting that to yourself. Admit that you have error perceptions. And then comes the next level to that, don't beat yourself up over having that. Don't beat yourself up over, standing in truth. Yeah. And watch your ego, trying to pull you out of it again because it says, oh, well, but I don't like this truth. I don't like it. That it's sympathy, antipathy. That it's a lower notion. You cannot make choices or see the world in truth if you allow yourself to get guided or dominated by sympathy and antipathy. Those are ego notions. All right. So let me help you out here, because there was also very beautiful things, and all the guidance that I am giving to you here is basically the guidance that came forward in this session. Yeah. First, it's important to remember that you have something like a truth in you, yeah, like a self, yeah, layer of yourself that is, more pure, that is more true. Okay? Can you feel this now? Yeah, when I say that, it means that whatever you think you are, whatever you think you're experiencing right now, is most likely not pure. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything. I'm just saying it's most likely influenced either by outer stuff or by, your inner combobulation, say. Yeah. So the first thing is that you remember, wait. There is something like a true self. Yes, I have a true self, okay. And that you make a conscious choice. This is a very little thing. Is every time, you come to the session, every time, you meditate and you go in and try to connect with yourself, you're making this choice. It's just literally remembering, yeah, I can also connect with that higher self part in me. And then where you need to do it first, and this is what we all struggle with and where many of us get stuck, is to fade everything out. We have to kind of learn how to silence our mind, how to silence our emotions, and then in the process of that, our body usually also calms down, our nervous system. Or for some of you, many of you are doing yoga and breathing techniques and so forth, you have already learned to use your body, yeah, to use physical techniques, yeah, to calm down your emotions and your thoughts. So it doesn't matter where you start. At the end of the day, you're always dealing with this conglomerate, yeah, the body, mind, and emotion, because they're tied together by the nervous system. So obviously the most common and easiest way to silence, you know, this inner overwhelm is to focus on your breathing, because we all breathe. Yeah, we all breathe constantly, and you know, by just sort of slowing our breath down and making it more conscious, allowing our diaphragm to fully expand, yeah, because most of us kind of breathe shallowly, and we only breathe with sort of the upper part of our lung, you know, really sort of allow yourself to breathe deeply. Yeah, women, you know, you're gonna have to expand your belly, yes, yeah, so that's why it's also called belly breathing. Loosen up your clothing before you do this, yeah, and you know, begin to slowly start, you know, becoming more aware of your inhale and your exhale. And then you really want to sort of begin to visualize, you know, as you're breathing in, how you're taking in oxygen or how you're filling yourself up with life force, yeah. And when you breathe out, you really want to like sort of empty out your lungs, and maybe visualize that you're just letting go of everything, all tension, all thoughts, all emotions, everything that you have been holding in, that you release this. So this was 40 minutes of the session, guys. So we were just sort of basically releasing, and this happened spontaneously, yeah, even though you may not know that, or you didn't know that you were doing this, by just, you know, sort of calming yourself down, reminding yourself that there is something like a true self, and kind of setting your intention toward it. You actually helped your system to clear these excess energies. Yeah. So the problem with many of us is that we're not used to this, and that we think it's a bad thing. And then our mind starts, you know, sort of latching onto this and begins to question, well, why am I feeling this? And oh my God, and what is going on here? And what does this mean? All right. And then this whole sort of expansive field that we're creating through slowing our body down, our nervous system, our emotions, our thoughts, begins to collapse. When this happens to you, all you really need to do is recognize, oops, I just got distracted. I was starting to think of my laundry list again, or oh, I was getting pulled into a specific emotion. All you really need to do is push the reset button and say, okay, let's just start again. All right. And then you start breathing again, you know, and you can do this over and over again. It doesn't matter. You can actually train your will, you know, but by really trying to stay focused for a certain amount of time. That's why I have all these energy alignments on my SoundCloud, you know, 5 minute, 20 minute, 60-minute alignments, where you can practice that, to just hold your will, yeah, your intention to connect within via breathing, yeah, via releasing. So the first, you know, after you remember that you have this higher self in you, you know, is the calming down, and then you start to, you know, kind of observe all the things that are going on. Yeah, all these clearing process. Oh, this is interesting, and I'm feeling this. Oh, this is interesting, and stop asking what it means. You're just observing it, okay? And then allow yourself to really fade in to however you visualize your true self. It doesn't matter how you visualize it. You know, I used to, in the beginning of my spiritual career, I used to, you know, see or imagine these spirit guides, yeah, and this were humans. They looked human, and they had a name, and they always came. It was always the same ones, 3, yeah. And you know, when I was ready, when I was in that calm spot, they came. And they sat with me, kind of like a group transmission, yeah, and just empowered me to keep going. Yeah, they just, basically supported me in what I was doing. They weren't interfering, they weren't saying anything. And it took me a good 10 years, to figure out that I could communicate with them, that I could ask them. So this is the part here that even those of you who are able to meditate and who are, practiced in all this, that we sometimes forget. Yeah. And that is to interact, to ask, to communicate. Yeah, in this case here with, the intention to connect with your true self, connect with your true self and ask it, hey, how are you doing? How are you truly feeling? What's going on? And right there, you'll encounter another layer of, your fears and your reactivity, because there'll be a part of you that is kind of like afraid to do that. Because you're afraid of what you might be seeing there. You aren't quite ready to face it, how you're truly feeling. Can anybody relate to that? Yeah, we say, oh yeah, of course we want to connect with our higher self. Of course we want to be one with the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, and we want to go into this true self space. But are you really willing to accept all that there is? Yeah, when you connect with truth and your true self.
Yeah, I got that message today, and I was like in the middle of like closing the refrigerator or something that was like, feel the fear and do it anyways. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, for what? And I just let it go. But when you said this, that flashed into my
Yeah.
head.
Sounds like
It
a
is a
true self.
fear.
That's what a true self would say.
Yeah.
Says, just accept that you're afraid right now. It's fine. But keep going. Keep going. Yeah. So your true self, is a supporter in a way. Yeah. Like I said, it's a translator. Yeah. So it's a part of you. Okay. And your ego is also a supporter, just of a different kind. It's the kind that is supposed to prevent you from doing stupid stuff. Yeah. It's the part in you that reacts to unforeseen things with fight, flight, or freeze. So that you don't have to think too much, but that you are actually, able to decide whether you should hide or run away from something, yeah, or not touch the fire, yeah, in the moment. But it is only as far as that goes. Your ego is only responsible for, these really sort of ad hoc kind of situations where you have no time to, breathe in, breathe out, connect with your true self, ask your true self what to do. Do you hear me? Yeah. It has a very important function, but it is not the part of you that you should consult. Okay, when you are trying to find a solution, yeah, a higher vibratory solution for the problems of the world and how to navigate the complexity of the darkness that we find in this world and in all our relationships today. Your ego ain't gonna give you good advice. What is your ego? What's the typical ego advice? Can anybody give us examples? Typical ego advice. What that sounds like or feels like.
Don't worry about it. Keep doing the old thing. Go and have another bag of chips.
The bag of chips. I was just going to say that. Yes, exactly. Let's just have a bag of chips. What else? What else? Some typical sort of notions that the ego consults us with. Better safe than sorry. Mm-hmm. And how does that come forward? That's I mean, that's the belief, yeah, that's a mental construct, better safe than sorry. But how would that sound like when the ego, yeah, that is now acting on better safe than sorry, what would it say to you? Don't even try. Exactly. Don't rock the boat. Don't change anything. It's hard enough as it is. If you change something, it gets harder. Don't. Just hold on to everything even harder. All right? That's ego talk, guys. What else?
Yeah, I could add the other side of the spectrum: push more, do more, and just like just that they go for it, but not from the heart. It's just like all head and just like headstrong.
Yeah, or also attacking. How dare they? And this is an outrage, and they should be punished for this, and they, look at what they're doing. This is so upsetting, and how blah blah.
Yeah.
Other examples. We talk about this all the time, guys. What about the whiny voice in you? Anybody a good representation of the inner whiny, victim-y voice?
Yeah, I found that. Oh, poor me! They didn't want to be with me, or they again pushed me away, and that deep feeling of victimization with it.
Why me? Why does this always happen to me? Why does this only happen to me? Look at others. They have everything. And I never get what I want. It's all the others. Yeah, this is something that you guys need to do over the microphone. Okay, I'm trying to read your chat here, but this is about voicing it.
Something like, this is so hard, Blaze. This is so hard. You don't have to, don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. But this is so hard. Why is it so hard?
Yeah. What else? Guys, give your ego a voice so that you can better discern it. Don't be afraid of facing that. That is the way this goes.
Like for me, why do I always feel left out of things? Like secret, as if it's a secret club and something, and I don't have the right password.
Yeah, yes, yeah. That's, those are two things actually, Sean. The why questions, always ego. Okay, why? Okay, and the second aspect here was the exclusion. What about the self-punishing voice in you? What does that sound like?
Well, for me this week, dum-dum.
You call yourself dum-dum? Your ego calls yourself dum-dum?
Well, I did something and I just, dum-dum. Yeah.
Okay. I've actually seen people self-harming themselves today because I mean, this is rampant right now. Self-punishing, self-harming thoughts, emotions, and actions. That is where this is all gonna go. If we don't get a handle on this, guys. So self-acceptance is a nice way of basically starting the process. Yeah. It obviously goes much farther because, you know, it's the acceptance is really just the exercise, you know, because after that, you will be able to tune into these higher solutions that are there. And they will require you to know the nature of your fears. Yeah, because what we are up against now is not just a little bit of critical inner voice or, you know, your whiny ego, you know, complaining. This is much bigger now, guys. I don't want to scare you. On the contrary, I want to empower you and I want to encourage you to, well, basically inoculate yourself through these exercises, through these kind of activities, yeah, where you train this with yourself so that you are not like a sitting duck. Because these feelings and perceptions, yeah, that it's heavy out there, yeah, they can only be counteracted from within yourself because they are actually attacking you from within yourself. They're attacking your true self. Yeah, and with it, you know, things such as self-acceptance, but even worse, self-love. So one of the predominant energy codes that I saw in almost, I would say, half of the people in the session, was the lack of self-care, the lack of ability, yeah, to even remotely feel something like self-love and self-acceptance. As an energy healer, that's, you know, quite alarming for me because that means that, you know, collectively we are being pulled into a field that is, well, self-destructive, if you will. So our apathy and our fatalism, okay, is harming us. It's harming us. Does this mean that we have to go out on the streets and protest and go into this blind activism? No. It means that we need to finally unlock that higher power in us that is in all of us. So if you engage in any of these things, any of these types of voices, these types of notions that we just enacted here, guys, then you are going down in energy. Now let's demonstrate here just 1 minute what it would sound like to hear a supporting voice, to hear something that is uplifting for you, not coping, not like let's have another bag of chips or ice cream or watch a movie or do this or that just so that you don't have to feel it. Not that kind. No, an actually really supporting type of voice. What does that sound like? Do you guys remember?
I say things like if it winds up becoming mental, like a thought, just enough to have to like form words for it. I'd say things like, well, what's going on here really? Or what do I really need? Or I usually sometimes
Okay. Those
I
are
just call
techniques. That's self-coaching. That's self-coaching, and that's good. You know, when you get into this sort of confused, it's this foggy state. You know, you can self-coach yourself out of this, and it's good application. But let me hear this voice, yeah, that comes after that, Janet. I know that you have felt this before. Yes, Cindy, you can do it. Something like that. Cindy just said you can do it.
I've said that before, or I'll just say the word compassion to kind of.
That's mental. Say it more with a feeling. Yeah, like I don't want to say motherly or fatherly because many of you guys still
I
have
say things like
issues,
it's okay. I think I've used it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah, beautiful. More voices like that.
Yeah, to me it feels a little motherly, but there is that I often find myself giving myself a hug and feeling that voice arising with it, that you are not alone, but not as a group, but as that inner connection.
Oh, totally. Once I had that stable true self connection going with myself, I never ever felt alone again, ever. But Seba, can you actually give us a taste what that feels like? What that sounds like?
It comes to me as that inner voice that you are not alone, but there is that deep softness to it.
Can you say it?
Yes. Sebastian, you are not alone. That's very deep, and I can feel it coming from me right now. There is that depth to it that I cannot describe by words, but I can feel it reverberating through me physically. It's quite profound.
Thank you. Give us some more of these voices, guys.
I love you and I'm listening.
Can you say it again, Mandy? Like you really
I love you.
Like you really.
I love you and I'm listening.
Thank you.
For me, Jona, it sounds like I'm here. I'm here.
And on my side, that you've got this.
Yeah, you've got this. So this took a while to get here, but you can feel this now, right? The shift that occurs when you focus on support, on this lovingness, yeah, with yourself. Yes, and there are many situations where that is hard. Yeah, but like Janet said earlier, accept that it's hard. Say to yourself, "Ooh, that's really hard right now to be self-loving, to be self-supportive." Okay, do it anyway.
I just want to add, just whatever was shared, I feel so grateful because I feel the shift just in those 60 seconds of sharing, like a beautiful, beautiful shift. And I'm so thankful. Thank you, everyone.
So there's obviously more techniques and stuff like that. So in the energy talk on Wednesday, I will share the I am breathing technique one more time. It's on my YouTube channel, but it's so old. It's from like 10 years ago, and I've talked about it so much. And I want to reintroduce this to you, really with some conscious or more conscious sort of understanding of it. Those of you who are familiar with the I am breathing, here also a slide or an infographic that's going to be with the recording for the session, yeah, where I literally show, what the breathing does. So in this session here, the I am breathing came forward as an important basically modality. It's a breathing technique, okay, yeah, to open our fourth, fifth chakra back up. One of the issues with this, it's not just that, we also have issues with the first chakra right now collectively. The problem that occurs in us, and this is, what we discussed here, how this then expresses for us is a lack of life force. It drains our life force. So this is the collective energy right now. Yeah, that if we do not connect within with our true self, we will experience our life force being drained. And that is actually happening. Okay? In ways that you can, not just energetically, but also, of course, in your daily choices and so forth, prevent this from happening, yeah, is exercise and lots of water, good sleep, and good food is always part of that, yeah, because that's sort of the foundation for energies, getting into the right flow. But here's a technique that we call thymus tapping, okay? So this is the spot that lies right between your 5th and your 4th chakra. And you can activate your lymphatic system here through this thymus tapping. And it helps your life forces, yeah, to get activated again and to expel all these excess energies. That's a little tip here for me, for you, for dealing with these intense October energies. Yeah, use your thymus, use your lymphatic system. Yeah, hold cold hot showers, things like that. Yeah, Google this. Yeah, how to activate your lymphatic system. Okay, because that's what you need to do in those stages, in those phases of collective developments. I have one more thing that came forward in this session that I would like to send you home with. And that has to do with these dark forces. If this is the first time you're listening to me, go to my YouTube channel or our Sacred Self-Healing community. I talk a lot about, those esoteric concepts and the forces of light and forces of dark and how they're structured and all that, so that we can better understand what we're dealing with. But I'm not going to do this right now. But I need you to understand that the intensity or the amount of darkness that you're feeling right now is there. And that the way this works right now, because people are getting pulled into this apathy, yeah, into this freeze, okay, is that we become complicit by not saying no. So the way these dark forces see it is that your refusal to say no means yes. You not saying no will be taken as a yes. Becoming complicit, yeah, conform, you can also call it, with these dark forces that are working right now through our economy, through our politics, through our societies. It is something that I have been talking about for years and years and years. It is the time to make a conscious choice. It is the time of bifurcation, which means it is no longer good enough to just sort of float around. You need to know who you are. You need to say yes to yourself, to your true self. If you are not saying yes to your true self and no to the darkness that is working through you, you will get pulled into complicity. Yes. All right. So it's not about going against everything. It's about you needing to know who you are. And this is the true self in you that can inform you about this. All right? And once you know what your true self is, you know what you are not. You know what to say no to. And that's a huge power, yeah, that we all have. It's that higher vibratory power, it's that consciousness in us. I can do that. And that's what, in a simplistic way, Yeah, the dark forces try to prevent you from discovering. Stopping the energy drain, Linda, is called thymus tapping. The thymus gland is right here. Google it, I said. Thymus tapping. Yeah, it's just a tapping on a certain spot here. Yeah, and you can read this up, you know, or have acupuncturists or naturopathic healers explain that to you. It's a physical. Yeah, it's not the throat. It's here under, right underneath your jugular, and you tap on that place, and that gets you, activates your lymphatic system. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. If this was your first True Self session, sorry that you walked into one of those intense sessions, but it was really, really cool. I'm super happy that you guys all shared today, and thank you so much for giving your true self a voice. Yeah, it's so much. It will do so much for you and other people. Yeah. And I see you guys soon again, so have a good weekend. By the way, I don't know if this is everywhere in the world, but here in the United States, this weekend you can watch meteor showers at night, yeah, right around midnight in the Orion constellation. So those of you who like watching those showers, those meteor showers, yeah, go enjoy it. Yeah. See you soon. Stay conscious.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jona.